He's
Okay.
on his
19. What's your name?
I'm Elder Bowman or Brody Bowman. Yeah.
Brody Bauman.
Brody.
Nice.
Yep.
Where are you from?
I'm from Idaho,
Idaho. What city in Idaho?
a small town called Firth.
Oh, okay.
Huh.
Yeah, kind
It's
of by Blackfoot.
oh, nice, nice. What are you doing in Roderick's house?
Well, we're out going around helping people, and I messaged Roderick to see if he wanted to help today, and he invited us to this meeting. And I figured it can't hurt to, look into some of this.
Oh, nice, nice. What? So are you on a mission trip?
Yeah, so I'm an LDS missionary. I
Nice.
leave for 2 years, and I come teach people about Jesus Christ and the gospel, and I help people where I can.
That's awesome. So all the way from Idaho to Hawaii. Not such a bad place to be right now while Idaho's getting snowfall like crazy.
You want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Elder Robertson, Zach Robertson. And I'm from Bountiful, Utah.
Nice. So you guys know each other before or just met?
Nope. No idea who he is.
You just met Roderick, like just some weird guy on the beach, and you're like, hey, let's go hang out.
No, they're at church. We go to the same church, and they
Nice.
wanted to come help with the yard and stuff. So I'm grateful for the help, and they're learning about real estate and stuff. And I'm telling them, buy as many houses as you can as early as possible, and just plant seeds
Amen.
there to give back.
Yeah.
Good. You guys got an advice for him.
That's awesome.
Okay, cool. You go
guys are
first.
in great company. I mean, Roderick is literally one of the best guys that you guys could possibly have found in the church. He's not only is he a massively Christ-centered, God-fearing man, but on the top of that, he's just a really good-natured guy, and he's going to teach you all kinds of stuff. So definitely, you met the right guy for sure.
Keep passing out copies of Rich Dad Poor Dad, trying to spread the word.
You gotta spread
Everybody's
all the
Yeah.
words, right?
Yeah,
I
that's
love
awesome.
it. That book changed my life too. And like Kiko said, you guys are in good hands. If you ever want to get into real estate investing, I mean, it's one of the most powerful wealth creation vehicles out there, right? So yeah, advice. What would be advice for new
I don't
guys?
know. Tay may have some advice. She always says smart stuff. Tay's like
Honestly,
that.
I think advice would be to be in rooms like this, find rooms like this and listen, learn, provide as much value as you can. And you'll find your way into deals. You'll find your way that, eventually you'll find that you understand, you speak the same language, and you ask questions, you participate. Like half the battle is just showing up, so
Yeah.
yeah.
Awesome. So
Keone, maybe
I would
Keone
just-
got a few words because Keone is good with this.
Keone's good too. Keone's also a believer. Tay is as well. So I would just say to you guys that, doing a mission like this obviously takes a lot of faith and a lot of perseverance. And, you got doors slammed on you all the time. You got people telling you to, take your stuff somewhere where the sun don't shine, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The neat thing about that is that it's also really, I mean, you're obviously evangelizing and trying to share the good news. Real estate's very similar because those of us who are in real estate and like Corey said, has discovered the power of real estate. Like we can't wait to share that news either because it can be really life transforming. And Roderick's a good example of that. He can now do the things that he wants to do and go surfing and have a good time. And he never looks like he's ever working. Like that guy always looks like he's like on crack or marijuana. But I mean, we know he's on fire for the Lord, but at the same time, he just loves doing what he does with real estate. And so in the same way, we go door knocking in real estate, just like you guys are door knocking now, and people in the same way slam their doors. But sometimes you get to meet a homeowner where you get to actually help them save their home or out of a really difficult situation. And so real estate is really rewarding. And I think for like Corey and I, what makes us so excited, and really for everybody else, Corey and I are just in business together. What makes us excited every day is that we get to make a difference in this world through real estate. And so, a lot of people go into real estate because they think it's all about the money. And those people who come into real estate just about the money, they don't last a long time. Like they're a blip on the social media radar. They have big followings and all that kind of thing. But eventually, you know, the money's not going to be it, and they're going to kind of disappear. But the people who do it because they want to make a difference in other people's lives, the crazy thing is those people aren't chasing money. You know, they're trying to just make a difference and help people. And eventually the money ends up chasing them. It's the weirdest thing. So the money, you don't even have to go try to find money. Like it just shows up because people are like, oh, you got to call this certain guy Brody because he's super cool. He helped me with my house, totally set us up in a better situation. So you got to call this guy. And then you get this call and this guy's like, hey, I need you to buy my house because I need to get out of it next week. And, you know, and you're just like, okay, I'll buy your house. Sounds great. You know, and you make a bunch of money and you're like, dude, I got to help that guy. I made a bunch of money, got to meet another person, you know? And so that's really the go-giver mentality. So it's the same mentality you have in what you're doing right now, door to door. But it's really just trying to give as much as we can, because you can never outgive God, right? For sure. But on top of that, you can just never outgive in business, because the more you give, the more that other people just surround you. And then again, the money ends up chasing you, which is hilarious. That is my word of advice.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
That's how we are in this house. You just described this deal.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah,
Awesome.
we know that about Roderick. That's why every time we come into town, we're like, Roderick, can we borrow your car? Can we take your house?
Oh, yeah, guys, that's gonna say.
No, we're glad that you're on board today. That's awesome.
Thanks for
Keone's in
jumping
the
on,
house.
guys.
Keone is the man.
What's up, everybody? How you guys doing?
Amazing, bro. Amazing.
Happy Aloha Friday, guys.
Happy
Happy
Aloha Friday.
holidays.
What's new with you, bro? Catch us up.
Let's see. Actually, yeah, I got some actually good news. I didn't even share it with this group. Well, let me start off this before I start sharing the news. I already shared it probably 2 weeks ago at a meetup, but we're about to go public with this thing. We're gonna start running ads and stuff like that. But 2019, I sat with a group, trusted group here locally. A lot of the, I guess, real estate investors here that we kind of just talk story and whatnot. And one of the things that was shared was the problems that we have, especially in the fix and flip space, and what we're dealing with and how do we overcome it. Does anybody have any solutions and whatnot? And the biggest thing that we're running in, if you guys are fix and flippers as well, is dealing with contractors. Yeah. So it's like on the acquisitions, you work so hard to basically underwrite a deal, do the deal analysis, you check them out, you locked up a deal, and then here comes, you know, the deal, you're super stoked, and then you enter into that second phase, which is the execution part, and then you bring out your contractors, the numbers look okay, you know, like, all right, I think I can do it. You get all jazzed up, and then it just kind of falls apart, right? I mean, like, this is probably the story that everybody can tell, and the frustration is because our biggest thing with flipping is being on time and on budget, yeah, and contractors hold the keys to that. So in this group that I had talked about in 2019 is like all the frustration, we were all dealing with the frustrations, even up to now, we're in 2023, about to enter into 2024. I go to all these meetups, it's still the same thing, that it's like the reliability of dealing with contractors, they just don't understand. Almost like Corey in the hard money space is like, they don't understand the mentality and the way investors think, and which is why you created this space. Long story short, I said, dude, one of us has got to do it. Why don't we just figure out the construction side here locally, you know, with all the permitting process, and like kind of be a one-stop shop, so that way we can focus on the acquisitions. If we can have a construction side, I think we can actually kind of crack the code, because we'll know we'll be investors, but then this is kind of the thing. So I went vertical, just launched out our contract company, construction side, for investors, only for the flips. So we went live with it a couple weeks ago, but I was pretty strict about it as far as sharing that we're not looking for the volume. Yeah, we're looking for the people who are committed. So a lot of the newbies, I mean, like, I'm just getting inundated with a lot of calls, but it's like, you got to have the deals under contract, right? That's what we're looking for. Time is our biggest asset, and we're not out here to look at 15 of your properties just to look at a bid for you. Make sure that you locked up the deal. And even with the seasoned investors, right? We already know that we already have a number in mind. Let's not dance around with those numbers. if we can meet your number, like we already know, we analyze it, you have a number in mind. Let's not like, oh, what do you think? What do you think? Like, let me know what your number is and we'll figure it out. If we're not the guys, then not the guys. But at the end of the day, I think with the years of experience that I've had in this business, I've been able to align with the right people, have the bandwidth now, and all of the same mentality on what we're doing. And speed is the biggest thing that we're needing as far as on the construction side. We're looking to be the one-stop shop as far as like lock up the deal, and then literally even with if you're using hard money, we'll literally do all your inspections with the TrueLink photos and all of these things, so that way you can focus on doing acquisitions, filling your deal funnel and keep moving forward. So far, we've been doing it. I had an opportunity to basically dot all the I's and cross the T's from the beginning of this year, and we've been running it silently. Been doing projects, obviously been doing my projects on the guinea pig as well as other clients, but I think we've kind of dialed it in, guys. And I'm super stoked to share with our family here and our community that I think that's the biggest frustration that you'll run into is the construction side, and we're hoping to fill that void. And that's what we're launching into the next year. That's what I've been slowly under wraps, and I told our community about it, and I would love to, talk to everybody, because again, we're not looking to be like, all of this volume, like we're trying to make sure that quality is always at the top of mind, but it's always speed. And I think we've checked all the boxes on what we can do to fulfill those needs, especially here in Hawaii, because I've been through the gamut. I mean, it's been rough. I mean, like those lessons that I've learned for all these years, I think I'm ready to give back and just let everybody know, like, dude, it's possible. We can actually get it done. We just got to have the mentality. Like a lot of contractors, great people, they get a bad rap as well, but they don't think like us. It's a little bit different just because there's a lot of nuances that I think I've been able to get through and collaborate now. So that's kind of where we're at. Long-winded, but that's been the news, guys. So like if you guys have any interests of actually, you guys got projects here locally, even our island, let me know. But we're going vertical with our construction company. And I teamed up with an amazing person. I've actually been mentoring him and his wife, and he has the license, they have license, but we have the bandwidth. So we have a lot of solid people in every trades that we've already packed onto the teams. We ran through a bunch of projects already. So yeah, my partner is, I don't know if you guys met him. He's normally on here sometimes, but Justin and Sasha Miner.
Yeah.
So solid people. We've done projects together as well. We've been running a bunch of projects together as well. So yeah, I think we've dialed it in. So we're not the best, but shit, hard to beat, man.
Love it. Oh, Keone, congratulations. And you're the right guy. You're definitely the right guy. And we got your back, Ra. And I can't wait. Yeah, I want to see how many projects can you guys handle right now?
So we're doing great question, man, because I said, dude, I don't want to do 10. I think the sweet spot right now is 5, and we got 5 right now, and I think that's where we're at. But again, we do have the bandwidth, but I don't want to push it. And I even told all the seasoned guys, because they're like, dude, I got 5. I'm like, actually, the word is like, guys, I want to do 1 with you, because we're friends first. And I want to make sure when you get money involved, it gets kind of funny, man. You know what I mean? So like, I want to make sure that we're aligned, right? Synergy, all of that. And I want to remain friends. But if we're locked into 5 deals and like, you don't like my style, I don't like your style, it's okay. Because we're going to keep moving. We're going to keep supporting each other. But when you got 5 deals on the line, shit, it's going to be brutal. So let's date each other on that 1 deal. And if you guys like the way I operate and move and everything is solid and we can kumbaya, let's keep it moving, man. But like, and I'm being super honest about that, like we just don't know until you lock it. You guys know, you guys are partners, right? You learn a lot about people's characters and through adversity and all of these things that like, shit, man, we were solid in the beginning, but like, once you start getting finicky and like your responsibilities and roles and all these things, like, damn, you're a little bit demanding. This guy, like, Keone is an asshole. I don't, like all of these things can happen. Start getting into the grind. So that's why I said do 1 deal. And that's for everybody across the board.
No,
That's
good.
awesome.
I love that. I love that you hold, true to the quality, because we all know that that's where the problems happen, is when you start growing faster than you should in this business. So I think we've all kind of made that mistake.
Yeah, well, I think the standard too is beyond that, Corey, is that these are our families that we're going to be putting into these homes. Even if it's not my home, the quality is like these, like we're so 6 degrees is like we're 2 degrees, like of separation. Like we know everybody that's going to be moving to these homes, and the quality needs to be making sure, like that's my auntie, my cousin, my uncle, my grandma that's going to be moving into that home. So I need to make sure that our shit is right. And we're not the best, like, but that's why you do home inspections and we're going to fix everything. But the quality suffers when you start vertically you know, you're scaling so fast that you're forgetting all of the main things, right? The foundational stuff. And just because it comes all about the money, and I don't want to ever get to that point. So that's why, like, let's just do what we can do right now. And if we got to scale, let's scale correctly. And that's why we always do these SWOT analyses internally to make sure that we're doing it properly. Because, I mean, we've been in 4 teams together, you, Kickball, myself, where it sounded good, but then we noticed that other things are slipping right in the past. And that's why I think we're trying to grow from that and pass that on to the people that we're working with. And I think that's the principles and core values that I want to make sure that I'm doing, because again, this is our community that we truly care about, you know, and I want to make sure that the product that we're putting out there is freaking solid. Yeah.
That's
So
good.
Keone, just to be really clear, so you're starting a construction company, AKA branch of your company. Are you looking to do work for other investors as well as all your own projects? Or are you more wanting to partner on the deals or?
Yeah. So thank you for asking that. It's actually doing it for all other investors. If they have projects, that's the biggest thing right now. So I have my own projects that I'm doing, but everybody who's investors, especially newbies. So what they're getting is when I consult with them is like, you're getting the education as well because we're investors. Yeah. So like all of the phases, acquisitions from the time you lock it up, the execution phase, dealing with the draws, like there's so much when you go granular, you know, and then the disposition side, even when we finish it, you just don't know what you don't know, but you get that with me and my team. So like we're opening this up. So the construction side is what we're promoting now. Yeah, so I branched out, and this construction is for the entire community, but we're not looking to work with homeowners right now or do handyman stuff. It's literally for the flippers out here on the island that I locked up a deal. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm in this community. Can you help me out? Well, if the numbers make sense, the only thing that I ask is that as long as the money can move and there's fluidity, we'll take care of the rest. We want to be the one-stop shop because we understand everything from the time you lock it up, whether you're using hard money, private money, all of these things. And again, it's just, we can do everything. Yeah, I don't want it to be where you have to micromanage and spend all the time because we have in-house project management. And if you want to get let behind the curtain and understand how to do it so you can run it on your own, so we're doing as well. Yeah, you're not going to get that with other construction companies because they're just there. Here's my percentage. Here's what I need. Get me this time. And then like, I don't know anything else. Where you're getting a 2-for-1. Yeah, maybe probably even more than that. So does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely, Ra.
That's awesome,
Love
Keone.
it.
Feel free to hit us up because remember we had a construction company, we still do, that
Yep.
kind of did something similar, working with friends and people in our relationship. If you want to talk about how do you protect yourself when the crap hits the fan?
Yes.
It does. It
Yeah.
does. Work with
Liability.
friends, something is going to happen and some house is not going to go right. Something gets delayed. Your sub does something stupid. And you know, it's yeah.
Then
I'm
the
I
excited.
appreciate that. And you are on my list and my radar because I know you guys vertically integrated on that aspect as well. So thank you, Kickball. I will be reaching out.
Yeah, if we can help. Don't feel like you need to, but we're always here.
Yeah.
Learn from our mistakes for sure.
Yeah, so I
And
don't want to
there
take
are
up all the
many.
time, but you asked, and like, yeah, that's what we're going on. So I want to give back to our community as best as we can. And if it makes sense, you guys want to have a more in-depth conversation, DM me, hit me up. More than happy to have a conversation, guys. But good to see all of you.
That's awesome, Keone.
love
I have no doubt you're the guy, man. You're the guy. Keone gets his, and you see your projects, Ra, they always moved. So, and you're right, like the draws, even just helping with the draws, because the contractors, they don't understand that, right? And they're allergic to paperwork a lot of times, and I don't blame them. To be honest, like, why would you want to sign away your liability? And you know what I mean? It's just extra work, and it's like, I get it, but at the same time, it needs to get done, right?
So even right now,
no
the
one
way
gets
we're
paid.
working it is like, let's use Temple View since you guys use Temple View. It's like, if they're working with Keiko Capital, if the back end happens to be Temple, then they can do all of their things. Because sometimes like, well, that's a little bit too private information. We don't want you to let you know what the budget is. That's no problem. All I'm saying is that when you're ready, we'll let you know when the milestones are hit. Go ahead, connect with Temple View, ask for all of these things, and then send the link to us. We will basically do the inspection, not you come out, have to take all of the photos. Because if you don't want to do a manual thing with CFSI and you're just like, yeah, we'll just do the link and the photos. I've been doing it all right now. Like literally my team and I is basically like, just send us the link and just let them know. And then we'll take those photos for you, all the inspection photos to prove that all of those milestones have been hit. So you never have to come out to the project. Yeah, just handle that and we'll let you know, hey, we've already hit these milestones, ready for the first draw, ready for the interim draw, then we're ready for the final draw. But again, those things are a big deal. It helps. And because I know, again, I've been in the grind. So it's like, no worries, guys. Just keep finding those deals. I mean, we'll take care of the construction, the entire thing. And that's the way we've been moving. So this is not new. Like we've been doing it since the beginning of this year with the people we've been working with. Now we're just expanding and letting everybody know, and we're making it known that, hey, we're ready. Because I've been kind of working through the kinks, so to speak. So I haven't gone through the shit just yet, knock on wood, Kiko. But it's been going okay and some not okay. So I've been working through those, and that's why I've just been dotting those I's and crossing the T's.
I like how too you're not just taking on any client or any deal, right? Because like, and that was the first thing too when we started doing loans, and that's why you were one of our first loans, right? Richie and Dustin, is because we don't know how this is gonna go, right? And we even told you, like, guys, you guys like the first ones going through, so and you want to know, you need to understand that when you start something new, a new business or a new venture, there's gonna be mistakes right off the bat, and there's gonna be problems, there's gonna be this and that. But if you just keep going and you keep sticking by like the purpose you started it, which is what, you know, it's a huge purpose, like it's a huge need, especially in Hawaii, you know, and it's, if you stick to the purpose, like, and you make it through, then all of the headaches and the problems that come with the business along the way, you start to realize like they were very, very necessary for you, you know, to hit a certain point. Like just like your business, right? On the house flipping side, it's like at first you're figuring shit out, like you're just getting, you know, making mistakes left and right, and then paying big money for them, real money for them.
Yeah.
But after a while, like you start to get good, and you start to understand the process like you have on especially on the execution side, you know. And I don't know many investors that do it better, honestly. And I'm not saying just because you're my friend,
it's the 3 C's that I teach and I preach. It's like crystal clear communication. Everything gets lost in translation when you're dealing with contractors because they speak a different language, we speak a different language, and what happens is we just assume, and that's the wrong thing to do. So I've been working my butt off to make sure that those 3 C's, like crystal clear communication, we understand. Like, I'll give you an example without even getting into the weeds. It's like plumbing. Oh, but I thought you said that was part of the budget. It's like, that's the plumbing. Like, well, everything above ground. Yeah. If we start going underground, then that's a different cost. That's a change order. And I said that. So these are things that people don't think about because like that was the budget. You had said, okay, yeah, but I didn't say underground. Like if there's shit going on with all of the ABS piping or whatnot, and we got to run the laterals, they're like, dude, that's not above ground stuff. So little things like that are big things, but these are the conversations that we got to be clear about. But investors don't know that because we don't know like what that means. We just think electrical, plumbing, that's the budget. Well, there's, again, getting into the weeds, but little things like that matter because it affects, it can blow up budgets. So these are the conversations that I need to have with all of our investors. And, you know, we just got to be on the same page. And that's why communication is paramount.
I love that. Crystal clear communication. Because I was going to say like setting, like how we tell our guys, it's like setting expectations up front is like crucial. You know, it'll save you time, and it'll save you some liability. Because otherwise, if you don't set expectations and, you know, things go wrong, you know, whether it's your fault or not, the fingers start coming out, the finger pointing, you know, and the blaming and all that. So setting clear expectations is important, but I actually like how you say crystal clear communication, because it's not just setting expectations. It's like, were you clear with those expectations? Is it crystal clear? Right, because we don't want the fingers kind of coming out of the woodwork later on, and people conveniently forget their obligations and their duty in the transaction, right?
And it'll happen, right? And that's why you have to put pen to paper as well to make sure that it was writing, so you can always refer back to something. And even if you have all of the, you know, 6 critical documents and whatnot, it doesn't matter, because if it ends up getting to that boiling point, it's like paperwork. Now lawyers are going to get involved. So that's why I think the constant communication and education, making sure we're on the same page, all of these reports and whatnot, it's going to help, right? But again, it's a learning experience, you know, for both sides. We got to make sure that we're always, you know, setting those expectations, like you had said, being super clear with them. these are all the things that, I'm learning myself, but I think along the way with all the trials and tribulations and the costly tuition that I've had to pay along this journey, I think it's led to this point where like, let's just get this all out in the open. Have you thought about this, right? Because it's permits. Again, that's a whole nother thing that we can get crazy about, but it's like, some people are like, oh, I'm down to go with you, Keone, but like what, gotta pull permits or what? Because I just like jam this thing. We can go float and, well, this is liability as well, right? So we want to make sure that if we end up getting caught, who's the one that's at fault? It's the contractors, right? You might be the owners like, oh shit, but it's like, we got to make sure, should we just pull all of the things in the beginning? So this is the consultation part that I've been doing this as well from the beginning. Is like, do we really need to pull permits? Should we pull permits? Well, there's repercussions as well if you don't, but we need to get all of this out in the open. Let's have this conversation, right? Just pull it now, and then we're going to have to figure that out. If you don't want to, what happens if somebody complains? Then we're going to stop. We might have a stop work order, all of these things. What happens then? Who's to blame? Then that finger pointing, well, that's going to happen, and you're going to blame the contractors, right? It's our fault now. Like, shit, you guys taking forever. Like, well, we had this conversation in the beginning. You as the owner decided that, like, you tried to just jam this thing. I was saying, so again, crystal clear communication. Just get all of this out in the open, and you got to have exit strategies. Yeah.
Oh, love it. Thank you, Keone.
So good, Keone. Such an inspiration.
Thank you, guys.
We wanna maybe we'll come maybe in like sometime early next year. You come back and like just like, tell us how it's been,
Yeah.
Because I know that whenever you start something new, the challenge will come, and you will learn so much, and we can learn, from you as well, and we can get a better understanding on the contractor side. Maybe we need to give more grace and more understanding and take more ownership, which I know we can always. So.
Yeah, definitely. I'm totally down, especially for our community here. I mean, like I said, it's not like we've been doing it already. So we're up and running. We have been doing it. We're just officially letting our community. And then now, like I said, we're going to be putting out this to the public to let them know what we're actually about. So you guys will start seeing all of the promotions and stuff like that. But I definitely want to let our family here know. So if you guys have any questions, you guys are interested in having these conversations, that you guys might have projects under contract and we can help out in any way, even if it's not us, but you have questions, I'm always down. Hit me up. Yeah, always down.
Wait, so are you guys aren't going to do like work for retail clients, right? Is it all investor clients, B2B?
Yeah, exactly. As of right now, no. We're even doing a ground up right now, but like we're trying to just do the renovation side. So we're running the gamut, but the focus needs to be B2B. It's just investors for investors by investors. Hey, that mentality right now. Yeah.
Let's go. Love it. Right on, Keone. Well, we're rooting for you, Ra, and we got your back. So keep us
Just
updated.
don't need anything at all. It's a good time to start doing some of that creative new companies.
Yep. Kikwa, where in the world are you now? Are you in
I am in
Vegas?
Irvine, California. It's gorgeous, 70 degrees.
Irvine. Oh,
I had to put on a shirt for you. It's gorgeous out.
yeah, it's a nice shirt. Very nice shirt.
It's cool. I'm speaking at an event down here, and kind of the message that I'm talking about right now is just why it's such a good time to be in real estate. And I don't know how many people were listening on Federal Reserve Chair Powell's speech 2 days ago. It's pretty good news. Basically, he stalled increasing the rates, and he's actually stated that he thinks they're done, and that they're probably going to do a couple of drops in 24. So inflation is now hitting that number that they were trying to target. If all of us remember, it's 2%. So it's kind of getting close to that. So that's why in the last couple of meetings, they haven't increased the federal funds rate. So as a result, the interest rates aren't rising. And so that does mean that this little window of weirdness where there is so much uncertainty is probably going to come to an end. As soon as my assumption is that as soon as we see that first drop, which is probably summer of next year, then we're going to start seeing floods of investors come back into the market. and it's going to be crazy. And then all of a sudden, as the market starts picking up, everyone's going to come back on market with their product. Right now, there's an inventory shortage around the country. Single families, multifamilies, commercial properties. Office space is still highly in supply because after COVID, office spaces are sitting around like crazy. But there's a lot of shoppers who are not buying because there's not much inventory. But as soon as the interest rates drop, my sense is that was going to look a little bit like 2021, right after COVID. It's going to be another bidding frenzy. It's going to be people putting on market at stupid prices, people not doing inspection contingencies. So it's going to be an interesting market for sure. So guys like Corey and I who are trying to buy more in Vegas, like right now is the time to try to buy while there are some sellers who need to sell. Sellers who don't need to sell are probably going to wait because they know a bidding war is coming, but there's still people facing foreclosure. There's still people facing distress situation, divorce, death. So now's the time to go shopping. Even if you know you're going to pay a high interest rate, now's the time to gamble on that, in my opinion, because you now know that the Federal Reserve is saying they're going to drop the rate. So might as well lock it high, get a bridge loan, talk to Keiko Capital and see if we can get you into something. So then that way you can get out when the rates drop. And then you work with a guy like Keone on the rehab. And so that's, it's going to be interesting, but I think it's a good time to get out there, get busy.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask after about what people's thoughts are and if people are paying attention to the Fed chair Powell, because that was big, and I'm not even kidding. Like that day, probably like a few hours later, our guys in Vegas, their phones start ringing about clients saying, "Hey, I'm about to go, back in soon, and I'm looking at deals and stuff." Like almost it's like they're waiting. It's like, okay, what is he gonna say?
Yeah.
Like,
they're 100% waiting.
Yeah, it blows my mind. I mean, it's important. Don't get me wrong. Like what they do, whether it's right or not, like they do control. Like they don't control, they influence the market heavily. So, and the moment he says that, the markets start making their moves. Bitcoin starts going up and everything starts going up, and then you get the guys on the sidelines now talking about getting back in the game. So it will come. So what have we been doing, right? As Roderick was asking earlier, and fortunately we have mentorship, and mentors who have been through slow times, recessions. And the advice always has been to, during slow times, you shore up your processes. You start positioning, strategy. You shift more to strategy, and man, I know that it's gonna pay off for us. We got the Vegas office. We're expanding our Honolulu office. Like there's a reason for that. Because we're getting ready. Right. And now we have officially partnership in PAC Bay, Pacific Bay Lending Group, which is our conventional arm out here. And, the last year we've been positioning ourselves with that company too, and why? Because we know that when the market comes back, when the rates are going down, the refi market is going to be insane, so it's going to be exactly like Kekoa said. It was like 2021, maybe more, because people got a taste of what it's like to be at such high interest rates that when they start dropping that thing, they're used to maybe even double digits by now, and when that thing starts going down, it's only going to weigh so much heavier initially until it kind of smooths out. I'm thinking that I don't know if it's a good move. Like, what do you guys think? I don't know if we're there yet. I mean, they know more. They have all the data, all the experience, but just the feeling of it, I feel that if we start lowering rates too early, it's gonna blow up the market again. We're gonna have to go back down or start raising again. I don't know. Kekoa, what did you think when you heard that? Like, I know it's good news temporarily, right? But what does that mean long term?
Yeah, well, I mean, if you go back to when Powell was starting to initially talk about the raises, he was adamant that they were not going to back down until it was time. So that type of an attitude means that he's pretty conservative in his word choice. And so for him to even come out and say, hey, we think we're done, like that's a big statement. It's not a light statement, right? Because that he's revealing that the group, the board, are open now to looking at terminating this initiative and potentially say that they're going to drop it a couple times next year. Like, to me, that's a big statement because he was so adamant that he was not going to stop until it was done. So I would lean a little bit towards it for sure. I mean, things could definitely change, right? You never know. The world wars are still going on. And so it's one of those situations where things could change pretty quickly. But I think that it's time for us to get ready for the upswing. So to start pivoting a little bit in our own strategy. So if we're flippers, to start looking at what can we acquire now at still the current rate, 60%, but then maybe have a sense of, hey, maybe if the rates go down, we're in a better shape to actually hold the property as a rental. So instead of flipping, right? So there's some different approaches that we could do. But then also not to be so frivolous, banking on the rates to come down and then buying things at 80% of ARV, because then you're going to be really stuck if the rates don't change, right? So I think we should go shopping, Corey.
Well, I'm in. I don't know if Layla's in or anyone else that we that always got to clean up our mess, bro. But
Roderick's always in.
But we didn't, plant the flag in Vegas for nothing. We're gonna buy some stuff, man. Like soon. Yeah, like we gotta hurry. Like I think the window's kind of closing kind of quickly. And now that you say that, yeah, I agree. I never thought of that. Like Jerome Powell, he said 2%. Everyone's like, what? 2%? Like we're never gonna get back to 2%. Like we're gonna be rising rates forever. And he did raise rates the whole year and a half and aggressively, so much so where the banks started to crack. And he stuck by his word actually throughout this whole time. I don't think he went against his word once. So I mean, maybe we come out of this and he's the hero, because that's what it's looking like. Before, it's kind of love-hate relationship with Jerome Powell and the Fed, but maybe we are in good hands.
I really had a lot of respect for the guy. And so I think that's a tough job, and it's not at all favorable to be the guy that says, hey, I'm going to basically cause the economy to go into craziness, right? But, it needed to be done. Inflation going too crazy. I mean, we all knew it. We went to go buy milk and we're like, what in the world's going on? We went to go buy gas and we're like 5 something. California was hitting $8 a gallon. Like, it was crazy. So, so I think that he's doing a good job. I think that we got to pay attention. And when you pay attention to a change like this, you either react in advance and then take calculated risks, or you just wait for it to happen. But if you wait too long, you're going to be behind the game. And all of a sudden you're going to try to catch up because everyone's going to jump back in and bidding wars are going to happen. I mean, we all remember 2021, we were buying stuff. We were waiving inspections, waiving financing, waiving appraisals. I mean, we were just like, hey, we'll take it. If you choose us, we'll even give you $100K over what you're asking. I mean, it was like the worst market to buy in. And that, I think, is where we're headed back to, because remember, the inventory levels across the country are still low, which means that there's always going to be more people trying to buy than is available. So if right now it's low, and then all of a sudden a ton of the investors who are sitting on the side, suddenly they're like, we're back in, we're calling the lending companies, getting our credit updated. It's just a sign to say people are coming back in. So there are going to be this many people trying to buy. Inventory is going to jump up a little bit. And so then as a result, with interest rates dropping, all of these people up here become buyers that are very competitive. And we're going to have the same situation. I mean, it's a terrible idea to buy a house without inspections, without financing, without appraisal, and try to close in 5 days. Like, I mean, that's why Keone's going to be in business. That's why we had a construction company, is because people bought crap that once they closed on it, they went over there and they're like, oh my gosh, I've got plumbing issues and electrical issues and the house is falling apart. And, so I think we're going to go back there. I'd be curious what Tay thinks, because Tay's pretty active in a couple of the bigger circle of networks.
Yeah, I think that's a great warning that you put out there, because it gets dangerous. You know, like people always talk about all the guys who didn't make it out of a down market, but we don't talk about the people who didn't make it out of an up market. You know what I'm saying? When everything's hot and everyone's buying and they're fresh off the, you know, getting sold on stage, and then they bid their way out of a deal and into trouble in a hot market like 2021. We don't know how many people are fighting right now to get out of that right now, or we don't know how many people that market has took out of the industry. You know, I'm not just talking about locally here, I'm talking about nationwide, because it was a frenzy in 2021. And we always talk about the people who didn't make it during like 08 or 09, right? If anything, it's more admirable if you made it out of 2021, you know, because like that was craziness. Everybody was bidding like 200 grand, probably higher than they should have. Everyone's values were off. Appraisers were like, they were, you know, their fee doubled, tripled, and then their lead times doubled, right? Like that was a nasty market, man. 2021, even though everything was on the upswing, you know, people who already own property, they got to reap the rewards from that, because they bought not in a hot market. You know what I mean? So it's not really the down markets that take you out. It's the up markets too. It's the hot markets. It's the top of the market. If you're buying over there, you're buying in the wrong cycle. That's why it's so important to always go back to the fundamentals. Like Vegas, we've been watching Vegas for years, right? We tested the water a little bit, couple projects here and there. Wasn't the right timing. Didn't have the right team yet. You know, sit back, watch, study, still in bed. And then when it's time to come in, I feel like we're even running late actually now. You know, before we're too early, now I feel we're too late. So, but when you go into a market like that, if you know the fundamentals, then, and you know that you're going to be in for 5-7 years, maybe 10, right? You're building a portfolio of that, like that. You can't lose if that is the intent to go in long term, and you study that market and you know it's emerging market. You can't lose. You know, if you're flipping a house and you got a limited window and you're subject to the market cycles, which do turn during a 6 to 12 month project, you know, you can lose, right? Especially if you haven't studied that market. So the fundamentals will save you. It's boring. Nobody wants to learn that, you know, market cycles and the nuances and the behaviors of different markets. Nobody wants to study that. But that's what save you, you know, and that's what help you grow your business to the next level. Does anybody else have any thoughts on what we're talking about here? Because
I couldn't agree with you more. Like when you talk about fundamentals, like I preach that. And like for what I do primarily, right? It's like when this goes for all the strategies, it's like when you talk about acquisition, if you can buy it right? I think you have a better chance of withstanding market volatility, because if everything is right here, but you're buying down here, regardless of what you just said, because it'll move either way, but because you were disciplined to buy it here and not depend on market, you've already won the game already with that whole instant equity. Yeah. And that's the part when you talk about going to foundation, like don't be so anxious and itchy to jump in, do the market research, understand what you're getting into, buy it correctly, right? You might not understand the next phase, but it's like, I do know that I'm going to spend time and basically do all my research to make sure that the underwriting and all of that makes sense. And you can see and project what you just said about, you know, all of where the market is headed. Like, okay, it'll be on an upswing, but I need to still buy it right, regardless of what the market looks like. Fundamentals, foundational principles, like you said, you cannot go wrong. And even now, especially because it's literally like this, interest rates, inflations, all of these things over the place, just stay focused and just basically just buy it right. Like I think you're hitting it on the head. No matter what's going on, put the blinders on and just fundamentals, like you just said, like 100% agree, bro.
what's funny is because like you and I, like we were trained the same on
Yep.
the fundamentals. That's why. And I'm so grateful. I don't know about you, but right, I'm so grateful because like I see, I can spot it in other people's operations, you know, when they don't understand it yet. And unfortunately, a market like 2021, yeah, we saw a lot of that. We're seeing a lot of it because we are having to do refis, like right now, like that's because they need to, right? And everybody got backed up in 2021. It's inflation, supply chain issues, like everyone was backed up, appraisers were backed up, closings, took forever, the money was slow, the money was starting to constrict. So as you move forward in different whatever market you're playing in, I guess it's best to ask yourself, why are you taking all that risk there? Because or even if, say, you're flipping houses, right? Why are you flipping houses? If you are doing BRRRRs, why are you doing BRRRRs? Why are you doing BRRRRs in that market you're doing BRRRRs in, right? Like, I think it's best to start looking at our operations, our strategy, and being honest, like really honest with ourselves. and if you come out of the other end of those questions and you're on track and everything's green light, then double down. That's what I say. Double down right now. Because like Kiko
I
said,
think as entrepreneurs, right? We take risks, but I think Kiko hit it on the head. There's a key word before risk that he said, and it's calculated risk. Yeah. You're not just being reckless about like, oh yeah, entrepreneurs, we take all the goddamn risk. No, you gotta be disciplined. You gotta be calculated. And I think that's where people kind of veer off the wrong way, right? And that's why it ends up just like, becoming a shit show. 2021 and whatnot, everybody got super like cocky, undisciplined about like, I'm gonna just ride this market out. Like, look how many all these goddamn multiple offers and whatnot, not even worried about the fundamentals, like you had said, like, oh shit, and all of a sudden they got caught, their pants down, like, damn, you got caught holding the bag. Like, oh, I don't know what to do now. Like, well, because of discipline, you forgot about the fundamentals.
There's a lot of people right now still surviving, still trying to make it out of some deals, and we all know how that feels like,
Yep.
And it's just, hopefully you can manage it, come out the other end so much like a better investor, right? Because our job as investors is to get a return on our investment. That's our job. And the way we do that, like the fundamentals of investing, come down to what's my risk and what's my return.
Yep.
Right. And is the return worth the risk? So you should be constantly mitigating your risk, whether that means like taking a day to think about all your operations and like ask yourself, why am I in this market? Why am I pursuing this strategy? Why am I in this partnership? Why? And then come out the other end with some answers, and if it's going to tell you a lot, just like the SWOT. I think asking yourself the hard questions is going to tell you a lot. And now is the time to start doing that, to be honest, because you have to mitigate risk. Like, say, okay, why am I in Missouri flipping houses? Right? Okay, well, I have family there. I know that market. I have teams. I have a network. I'm plugged in. All that is mitigating your risk. That's reasons why you can play in Missouri and flip houses rather than someone else. Because you have those things in that market that give you an edge, mitigate your risk, right? So, all right, okay, go have to jump off. But anyways, yeah, I think it's great, important conversation, right? Like we have to talk about this kind of stuff. Wow, I kind of went on long. It's almost 5 till. Sorry for the rambling. Daniel, what's up? How's it, bro?
Cracking, bro. What's cracking, fam? Looks like everybody's excited for the new news. Looks like it's gonna be another boom, man. So I love how you're saying like you're prepping, So I think in the down market, even for us, 2023 is like a lot of guys are losing money to flipping, right? But just building your systems, putting your head down, and building the foundation. So like our team is so much better now than we were, let's say, a year ago. So now when the market does hit, we're equipped to kind of take advantage of like the new opportunities, So excited for 2024 and where else is gonna be on. I know CKECO is expanding and like building a pretty like solid foundation too. So like just excited for you guys too, man.
Thank you, man. Thank you. We're gonna have an office opening too. So if anyone's in Vegas or wants to come hang out, like, yeah, we're gonna celebrate because it is big. I mean, we've been watching this market. We're gonna stay in that market for a while, and it really is, like you said, like part of the plan, you know. And when we signed on with Pac Bay, right, kind of did like a soft launch. Part of the reason was we got into that partnership with Chris and Pac Bay at a point in the market where it was ruthless. Like,
Mhm.
you know, it was so competitive, like rates were so low, and it was basically free money. Everybody was refinancing, everybody was buying shit, right? So we have to kind of sit a little bit on that, right? Because we're disciplined. We're disciplined. And we know the opportunity will come. And sure enough, rates started going up, you know, and everybody's like in that space is hurting right now. You know, like that was the best news they could have got a couple of days ago. Like that saved their life, I bet. And so if that continues on, right, then we've been preparing already, right? Investing in technology, investing in, you know, now we're
Yeah,
gonna start preparing to
your
build the
process
team.
of your team, everything is being built out. And so like there wasn't a whole lot of profit, but it's like you're building that,
Yes.
like that skyscraper, right? So when that does come, you're not overwhelmed with like the different challenges. Obviously, there's gonna be like, new challenges you're gonna be solving at the same time, but like now you're equipped for the next phase of like the each level of like success or your business, right? So yeah, I mean, let's love it. Super. You guys are gonna crush it this next season, man, especially with like the whole conventional side, like, and just because all of this is just like running the business, right? You're just really good at running business, you know, like keeping people motivated, making sure things are getting done, and then making sure like the processes are correct, making sure like people are doing the right thing, and just like it's guaranteed to have success. It just, but then this matter how much you can scale and how much you can actually put into the machine to grow, right? And so like sounds like you guys' machine is primed and ready for like the next kind of bull run.
We're getting there. We're getting there. It could always be better, right? And it's gonna be tested, and we want to stress test it a little bit. But when it comes, like, yeah, we want to be as prepared as we can, right? And when the market comes back, I feel it's gonna come back with a vengeance. You know, how can it not? Because once they start lowering rates, man, unless they lower it really slow and they really drag it out, then you know, maybe hopefully they do that. Otherwise, yeah, for those who have been preparing for it and kind of preparing for to go through the winter, which maybe we're coming to it towards the other end of it, like they're gonna be primed and ready to go, just like Keone is primed and ready to go. During recessions, it gives you time to reflect and look at the process. I bet you, well, Keone, you've been working on this a long time, but as the market starts to slow and the danger starts to rise and the risk starts to rise in the house of big industry, because there's so much uncertainty and volatility, you start to look at the process like you should, right? You start to look at the process, short the process, then you see opportunity there, right? And
It's
that's another
constantly
thing.
to get leaner, right? You have to get more efficient and lean just to survive in like a down market. But that
Yep.
also like that improvement of your leanness and your efficiency is also going to supercharge you when the market does shift upwards, right? So like exactly like you said, in the
Yep.
down market, you're like leaning out, you're like starting playing here. Where's all like the small pukas that I gotta like figure out, and then when the market hits, and like it's just gonna be like 10x or whatever like you were kind of like working with.
And that's when I feel like, and I don't know if you guys would agree, but that's when I feel like you hit a new level of leadership, because you're not just one speed in one direction, just go attack. You know, now you know how to put the brake, analyze, you know, strategize, and then go back, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's, and coming out of like the last great recession, so many great financial industries and businesses came from that. The private lending industry was birthed through the last great recession. There was no institutional private capital like there is today. There was no need for it. People just went to the bank. They were using bank money to buy at the auction, right? So there was no hard money like there is today, right? Because the banks got heavily regulated, as they should have, back then. And because of that, private lending kind of birthed, right? And I wouldn't have an opportunity, many of us wouldn't have the opportunity to scale, right? And if it wasn't for the last great, you know, recession, and through this one, like Keone's construction company is going to be birthed, you know, and hope and fill a much needed void in our industry, especially locally here. You know, I got major problems contractors all the time, you know. I'm about to go, like, so much so where I'm sick of it, guys. And I'm not a litigious person, you guys know, but this is different. You know, like I'm tired of it. I told one of my mentors, Ranson, the other day, I sat down with him. I had my meetings with him in Vegas. I was like, Rance, I'm tired, man. I'm tired of getting disrespected. I'm tired of getting burned for my money. I'm tired. I'm tired of being the bigger person, always having to just focus on winning, you know? So I said, what do I do? And I thought for sure, because he's told me this before, because I brought it up before. And he's told me, he's like, look, even if you win, do you really win? Right? And that took me off the reins from, you know, going after, from serving justice. So since then, I've been looking for signs, you know. I've been I feel like I'm being led, so I'm looking for signs to not go forward. And if I don't see any, then maybe that's a sign that I should go forward. And when I asked Ranson his opinion this time, he said, you know what? Because I think he also saw the just the frustration, you know, of like, I'm tired of being burned. I'm tired of working with JV, you know, the JV crew, the guys who only show up and only care for themselves. Tired of it, you know, like there's no accountability. And I think he felt that. So this time he told me, flip a coin. That's what he said. And that's before I told him I feel like I'm searching, you know, I'm searching for lessons, you know, and I'm looking for direction, and I still am. But he said, flip a coin, and he said, you know, heads give grace, tails give the lesson. And he said, but if you give the lesson, then give the fucking lesson. So that's what might happen. And because I'm looking for a sign from God to tell me give grace.
If you give the lesson, like, keep us informed. I wanna see what happens. I'm like, I wanna know what's going on, bro. Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I think God brought me on this call today because I needed to hear that. I'm just backing out of a deal right now. Today I made the decision. I prayed on it for days and I made the decision, get out of the deal because your partners are not doing, like, it's not the partnership you want to be in. And it's a 6-figure. I know that it's going to make 6 figures or more, but it's not the money entirely for me. So thank you for sharing that, Corey.
Of course. Thank you, Anna. And yeah, well, hopefully it helped me. You know, as soon as he said that, relief, I had weight off my shoulders. Now I leave it in God's hands. I leave it in, you know, and I'm looking for signs. Yeah, I'm open. I'm asking for it, please. And if I don't, I will flip that coin. And if God's telling me give the lesson, I'm gonna give the fucking lesson. And I'll let you guys know too. I will name and shame because I have no problems with that. So I am biased. But this is what I tell our team is like, always do the right thing. Because if you do the right thing, you never gotta worry when serious things happen, you know, and when the fingers start being pointed or all of that, right? Like we're talking about. So you don't have to worry about that. As long as you know who you are and you do the right thing, treat people well, and you always make it right. So hopefully that helps out, because it helped me. When Ranson said that, I really thought he was going to tell me back off, like, bro, it's not worth it. You're going to spend so much money. I was like, you know what? At this point, I will spend that money, you know, because it is about principle. Oh, another lesson he told me is, I don't know if you guys even want to hear this because some of it is hard lessons, but he told me, like, you know, it's not business to him. It's personal to him too. And I was surprised with that too. But I was happy to hear that because that's how I see business too. And now I just got confirmation from someone who I respect, someone who's been there, done that, you know, closing way bigger deals than me, you know, and creating such a way bigger impact, you know, and I aspire to be at his level. And he did say it is personal. And I love that. You know, this is personal to me. And because I give my life to this and I give everything. And he told me one time he was in a meeting and his own guys who he brought up were basically telling him to his face how they were going to go around him, take his like what he's taught them and all the resources and compete. And so Ranson obviously was upset and told him that, this is personal. And he says, Rance, it's business. It's not personal. It's just business. And he said, oh, really? So if I cut your legs off, then it's not personal, right? It's just business. And he's like, well, and he said, well, because that's what you're doing to me, and it is personal to him. And I think we need more people to operate that way, like that, that business is personal. I hate it's just business is business. That's an excuse, I feel. And that's a nice crutch to lean on when, you try to give yourself reason to do something that may not be right.
Amen.
So anyways, few lessons I've been learning. I've been learning so much, guys. I hope to be able to share.
Appreciate the sharing.
I will share as much as I can. I hope Ranson's open. Like I'm sure I know he'll be okay with me sharing. So, but yeah, thanks guys. Hopefully that helps. It helped me a lot, actually. So, and Keone, oh man, thank you for having the courage to tackle this. Is much needed in our space, bro. Much needed. And you're the right guy. I believe it.
Man, we'll see how it goes at the end of the day. I mean, I think it's needed. I think it's a void that, we can try and figure it out. There's definitely a lot of things when we do the SWOT analysis that are in the threat column for sure, right? But I think the strengths outweigh it, in my opinion. And it's beyond, when we talk about impact, it's beyond the financial things that we talk about. There's a lot of winning that's going on the strength side, but there's a lot of threats as well that I am aware of, still building it out. As I'm talking to you, I'm literally have it on my whiteboard here. I mean, that's how big it is because those things always are ever evolving. Yeah. So there's as much mind mapping as I've done before it even came out. And yeah, I'm excited for it. Yeah. This is the give back right here.
Yeah, it is indeed, for sure. Well, thank you guys for all a wonderful call. Have a great weekend. Happy Aloha Friday, and we'll see you guys next week. Hello, everybody. Happy holidays.